Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Twilight Zone review. Today it is Season 5, Episode 27, Sounds and Silences, written by Rod Serling and starring John MacGyver as Roswell Flemington. And in my opinion, this is a very poor Twilight Zone episode. I would argue it's one of the worst of the whole series, and this is for a couple reasons. First of all, I don't think the premise is very good to begin with. And second off, the execution isn't very good. And it also doesn't help that our main character is fairly annoying and overdone as well. So this episode starts with our main character, Flemington, and he's basically listening to some kind of recording in his office, and we'll get into more of that in a minute. And he comes out of his office, and he does this talking throughout the whole episode, which I found to be very overdone and unrealistic, where he talks like some kind of officer. It's really, really strange, and you can tell that his employees don't like him very much, as they kind of make fun of him and stuff when he leaves the room. At this point, we get the opening narration, and Rod Serling calls him noisy. I would say that's pretty accurate. So Flemington's now at home, and he's listening to this noise of all these different naval battles, I think they are, and it's pretty annoying for the viewer as well. It's pretty obnoxious, which I guess is the point. And his wife is on the phone, and she asks him to turn it down. And he just keeps talking in this strange, unrealistic dialogue about battles or something. So eventually his wife smashes the record. It was a record album going along with the times, and Flemington's upset about it. And his wife basically says she's leaving him and he's unbearable. And he then bangs on the door when she says she's going to leave when she goes to get her stuff. And eventually he gets into this conversation with her about cookies and brownies and how much noise they make. And it's very, very strange. I felt like I was in the Twilight Zone. And eventually she does leave, but this scene takes absolutely forever. And then he goes on playing more battle sounds. Good for you, Flemington. I can see you're really distraught. So we go to a nighttime scene, and Flemington is in bed, but he starts hearing this dripping water, and it sounds really loud and annoying to him. So he gets up to shut it off, but then he hears the noise of a clock, and that bothers him as well. So now all of a sudden, all these common everyday sounds are upsetting him. Why, it's never said or explained. For sure, it might just all be in his head, but who knows? And honestly, I didn't care much at this point. Sorry, that's just how I felt about it. So Flemington goes to get his ears checked. The doctor says there's no problem, but he might have another problem, a psychiatric problem. I would agree. And of course, Flemington gets upset, and he basically yells at the doctor and leaves. And then Flemington is hearing outside noise, and this is upsetting him. He's back at the office. He's upset with his employees. Every little noise anyone makes basically upsets him. He gets mad at a man because his shoes are making noise. How you would help that, I don't know. He basically tells his employees to be quiet, and he yells, and he just keeps hearing more noises. So Flemington does go to visit a psychiatrist at this point. The psychiatrist tells him that this is all in your imagination and it might have been caused by your wife. How that makes sense, I don't know. But he takes these tests in the psychiatrist's office where the psychiatrist bangs something or makes a noise, and it doesn't bother Flemington, so he figures he's cured. So Flemington is at home, and he seems pretty happy. He's blaming his wife, and then his wife comes home, and they talk, and the talking, of course, leads to arguing. She says she's going to leave again, but Flemington goes off on her for some reason. He says he can shut her off whenever he wants. He basically tries to block her out, and her voice gets lower and lower in his head. So eventually his wife does leave, and Flemington figures he's in good shape now. So he goes to put on one of his records with the battle music again, except now he doesn't hear anything, or he just hears a very low sound. So this upsets him. He smashes things. He looks outside, and this guy can't really hear much of anything. He just hears this very low sound. I'm not sure what it was supposed to be. So the episode basically ends with Flemington yelling out the window, and I think Rod Serling calls it poetic justice, and that's really all there is to this episode. It just ends with this guy, I guess, having these psychiatric problems. This is a really bad episode that really doesn't have much of a point, and the main character's uninteresting and not relatable at all. So I'm going to give Sounds and Silences a 1 out of 5. Definitely an episode you don't have to watch unless you're completing every episode of the show. It is really poor in my opinion. So a 1 out of 5 for Sounds and Silences, and as always, thank you very much for watching.